Welcome to Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing, one of the fastest growing real estate investing podcasts in the world. What if you could learn from experienced real estate investors? Find out what got them to where they are now. Get insight into their daily habits and take these insights to inspire your own growth. Each episode, Jonathan Greene shares an in-depth look at the mindful approach to real estate investing. Jonathan is a lifelong real estate investor and the founder of Streamline, a data-driven, investor-friendly, independent real estate brokerage located in Madison, New Jersey. Whether you're looking to start from scratch, get to the next level, or just for a straightforward and honest approach to real estate investing, this is the free mentorship program you can take with you anywhere. Now, here's Jonathan.
Thanks for showing up for another episode of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. This episode is a change maker. Things are changing at the podcast, and you're going to hear all about it today as we go through where financial literacy meets intentional living and how real estate plays a role in that. And that is what the change maker is. We're going in a bit of a different direction. We're still focusing on real estate. We're dropping down some things. I'm going to tell you all about it right now. This is episode 363 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. And you're getting just me today, a solo episode, which are becoming some of my favorite episodes, but this is a transitional episode for the podcast. I'm making some changes to broaden out the scope of the podcast. After 362 other episodes, we're getting into a lot of things that I think can have a much wider effect on people. I love real estate. I love real estate investing, but I've also been investing and caring for money my whole life. So we're about to broaden out the scope. The podcast title's saying the same, and the lens of the show is still real estate and real estate investing. But honestly, after this many episodes, I've interviewed almost everybody. So even the guest pitches that I'm getting are not really matching up for where I want to go and what I want to deliver as content and education for you and for people who may get this forwarded to, or people who may find it in a year and go back and just go bananas on all the episodes. I just want to change the trajectory and the arc a little bit to capture a wider audience of things that I'm personally interested in, and I would be even if I was younger, but especially at this age now, I'm trying to get my kids to focus on financial mindfulness, which is what we're going to talk about a lot. So let's get into some things that are changing and give you some updates. But this isn't just a regular update show and then we're going to hop off. I'm really going to tell you the vision of the podcast and the future and why I think it's going to make a difference for everybody. So I really want Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing to become an anchor for what I would say is a broader wealth building movement. But not like the FIRE movement. I'm not talking about anything quick. We've always been focused on long-term wealth preservation and generation, and that's where we're going to stay. But real estate as the lens, financial clarity, long-term thinking, intentional living, that's really important to me. And we're going to get into all of those things. And that's kind of where the guest focus is going to be going as well. I want to talk with people who are very experienced in financial issues, but I also want to talk to them about real estate. And that's where I want to bridge the gap. So I'm going to be searching for the people who have big financial reach. They talk about a lot of things, but I want to get them to talk about real estate and understand what they really think about real estate in part of an entire diversified portfolio. Across all of these episodes, almost everybody has talked about diversification, whether it be inside real estate or within their entire life. And I've always practiced having a diversified portfolio between stocks, real estates, other investments, which now extend to startups, art, anything. And, you know, that's just the way that I think of baseball card collection, comic card collection. These are all things that can grow in value over time. Some people collect wine. There's a lot of different things that you can collect as assets, and they kind of act similar to the housing market in some ways. Even though you don't go on Zillow to buy baseball cards, they can surge and then go down and go back up. So here's some shifts that I'm considering as we go. Obviously, it's going to be kind of fluid as we figure out which direction we're going. And a lot of that will depend on the guests that are coming on the show. So I don't think I'm ever going to replace it as a real estate podcast because I'm more savvy in real estate, although I'm pretty savvy in the regular investing world as well. But I wanted you to think of it as a wealth building show for long-term thinkers. That's really a main focus of where we're going. I want to help people think long-term. And if you do think long-term, you do think diversification and asset allocation. So that doesn't just have to be inside real estate. We want to, again, widen it out a little and allow people to talk about how real estate plays a role in their portfolio and what other things can help make that wealth grow over time and make it more stable. If you listen to my recent episode with Lauren Seidel Baker, it's the second time I've had her on the show from ITR Economics, and we've talked about a potential crash coming in 2030. If you watch the news, you know there's a lot of stuff wrong. So you know that there's pressure on the economy here. We do have to prepare for long-term wealth building, and that means generational wealth building if you have children or want to have children. What I'm really going to be doing is leaning hard into what now we're calling financial mindfulness. And I think that suits the podcast perfectly. I created this as the mindful approach to real estate investing. So transitioning to what I want to keep coining as a term, and really sounds like a pretty good hashtag as well, financial mindfulness. I don't hear it a lot. It's underused and it's very much on brand with Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. I do want to think of it this way. Episodes now, we're using real estate to talk about how to build a better life. We've always done that. It's always been a part of the story. But a lot of other podcasts and quicker movements and YouTube focuses on more like fire type things, quick, how quickly you can get out of the rat race. And it depends what you think of the rat race, but we want to use real estate to talk about how to build something bigger, but you don't only have to build something bigger in real estate. And there's so many different asset classes and ways to participate in real estate. I would say if you have kids, go back and listen to the episode about how to talk about real estate investing with your kids. I really think that's one of my best episodes ever. It's the thing that I'm most passionate about. And this plays into the kind of reason that we're going this direction. And in that education, college, middle school, high school angle, and for adults who want to learn, think of it this way. It's in the title, Where Financial Literacy Meets Intentional Living Through Real Estate. Obviously, we're going to be using other vehicles as well. We're not going to have whole shows talking about stocks. Real estate's always going to be the main portion of the show, but we want to help you build bigger for the future, want to keep you safer, want to make sure that if you have troubling thoughts about money or didn't learn from your parents or anybody growing up about money, and now you struggle to keep that together, I want to help you straighten it out. It's very, very important. It's kind of uncertain what the future is going to look like with AI and a lot going on. I want to make sure that you're able to build a framework that will help you no matter how society changes. So these are some things that we're going to talk about. I'm just going to go right into them, a bunch of bullet points sitting on my computer. Purposefully, we've been publishing 2 a week for, I don't know, almost 3 years, I would say. We started off publishing 1 a week, and then it just got hot. So we moved to 2 a week. I had like 20 bookings and like built out in a row. And now the bookings are slower, which is another reason we want to open this up, because I've interviewed everyone and a lot of people I've had back again. So I want to challenge myself to go in a little bit of a different direction. And in terms of where I'm going, a lot of the guest spots that I'm doing on shows are on finance shows, how to teach kids about money and real estate. And that's what we're bringing here as well. So the pace will be dropping to 1 episode a week. I think it's been hard for people to keep up at 2 episodes a week of an hour, especially if you listen to other shows like Tim Ferriss or Modern Wisdom with Chris Williamson or Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. Like those are all going to be 1 hour to 2 hours. Tim Ferriss sometimes hits 3 hours, Rich Roll 2 hours, Huberman 2 hours. Like these are long shows. So I understand it if you haven't been able to catch up. And we want to give you the opportunity to go back and selectively catch up and get current, so that you only have an obligation, if you're really into the podcast, to listen to one episode a week. We've been releasing them on Monday and Thursdays. Moving forward, after starting next week, not this week, starting next week, you won't have a Monday. It will release on Wednesday moving forward. Hump day release for us. We want to get that in the middle of the week and make sure that you have it, got time to listen to it on Wednesday. You have the weekend to listen to it, and you only have that one a week, which may mean maybe we end up going a little bit longer on some of these episodes. And maybe I do get into that different type of cadence that some of those podcasters that I listen to that I just talked about. And so I wouldn't say that the calendar was making decisions for me in terms of the guests, but we really had to book. I had to do more solo episodes just to keep up. The good news about that is I found I really liked it, and I think you guys really like it. I only hear from people I know, but I've received some stranger feedback as well that the solo episodes are really hitting. So I would expect between 25 and 50% solo episodes, and then the other percentage, longer, very well drawn out episodes on financial mindfulness that focus on real estate as well. So the truth, when I created it, I know a lot about real estate. So real estate was always going to be the vehicle, but it wasn't the point. The mindful approach to real estate investing was always meant to be that kind of wealth generation and wealth creation and long-term wealth preservation. That's why I added the mindfulness, and that's how I've kind of done it in my life. I've definitely made mistakes, but I've also been smart with my money, smart with real estate, and I over time figured out what I wanted for my own risk allocation, and what my tenacity for risk was. And it changes depending on the asset class. So real estate was always the clearest path to me to building a meaningful, intentional life, because that's what I used it for on the side for so many years. But I want to open it up to other vehicles that act like real estate, and also talk about how real estate fits into other people's profiles where their whole life isn't about real estate. It's just a part of it. I listened to this great episode on the Tim Ferriss podcast with Chris Sacca, a very famous investor, and he was talking about real estate. That's somebody I want to immediately get on the show to talk about, someone who does all these other types of investments, but still has real estate. But when he goes on shows, no one ever probably talks to him about real estate. So I have a long list of people that I want to do that with. And I think, to me, that's going to be interesting. I'm not saying I was getting bored with the podcast, but after 362 episodes, you've heard a lot of the same stories. Even though the guests are great, I try to focus on the guests. I think I do a good job as a host going down the rabbit holes. But, let's spice it up a little bit. I'm ready for some new material. Hey, it's Jonathan. I hope you're enjoying this episode and learning about where we're going in the future. If you want to be a participant in that and help me shape the future of the podcast, it's pretty simple. You can send me an email at jonathan@trustgreene.com. Greene has an E at the end. Tell me your thoughts on it. You can find me on LinkedIn and connect there. And that's where we're looking to book more guests who fit this new profile: real estate, financial literacy, intentional living. We want it all. We're looking for people who have good financial backgrounds and focuses, but also play in real estate. But real estate doesn't always have to be their number one. That's what's going to be fun about this. Let's get back to the show. I'm also always trying to stay away from hustle and grind culture. You know that if you've listened to the show at all. I'm not for scaling fast and sleeping less. I'm for building a mindful life. This podcast has always intended to be the antidote to that hustle and grind, fire movement type stuff. We want to be the kind of baseline, very, very like the friend you can trust who will tell you when the shirt looks stupid and you shouldn't wear it out. That's us. That's how I am as an agent. That's how I am as an investor, a friend of investors. I tell people the truth. It doesn't faze me if they don't like it or not. I'm not here to be an echo chamber, and I will continue not doing that. And that's why we want to focus on things that are anti-fast, quick social media. We want to go back to building small and long. And I think it's going to be really important. Financial mindfulness means slowing down enough to make decisions with a clear head. We've always been against market panic or highlight reels. Social media says everybody's crushing it. They're not crushing it. It's probably all fake, or else you'd see more results in real life. We've seen some very, very high recognized people going down recently in different ways, some from syndication funds, some from misrepresented MLM schemes. They're coming for you, and they're not coming for me because I don't have any schemes. We don't have any masterminds. We've really never built anything. We've never built anything to generate income. One of these days, we're opening up offmarketletters.com. It's actually, the site's up. You can go check it out. It's not clickable yet, but we're building that out right now, where you'll have my 10 off-market letters to help you connect direct with sellers one-to-one. So long-term thinking is not a strategy you deploy. It's something that you practice every single day. And this show is going to be built around that practice. That's why we're getting slow and methodical, moving back to 1 episode a week, and really focusing on going deeper, even deeper. Again, I think I've done a good job as a host, really pulling out what's coming from the podcast. But I really want to be more intentional with the guests I'm bringing on and the content and the questions I ask. I want to get better and better as a host, because I can then deliver you better and better educational material from the shows. So guests going forward won't be booked because of their portfolio size. They never were. I hate door culture, but they're going to be booked more on how they think and what they've learned. And I would tell you that a lot of guests who submit to me, they follow a very similar trajectory, which I particularly don't enjoy. I don't like the 0 to hero. If you started with nothing and built, that's okay. I really don't like the hero to 0, then 0 back to hero thing. I'd rather talk to people who never lost all their money, because that's the whole point of why I created this show. So you don't have to do that. I've always said we created this so you don't have to step in the potholes that all of us didn't. I don't want you to go bankrupt just so you can tell a better story. And when I get those pitches, which is maybe about 25%, doesn't really interest me, because I'm more interested in why they lost their money, but they want to talk about how they built it back up. But I don't want people to lose all their money. It doesn't create a great story, because it's highly likely that can happen again. Not everyone learns from their risk tolerance and what they risk to get there. They try to go bigger again, and then they have a bigger disaster. We're fighting against that, and we're going in the other direction. You're not going to see a lot of hero to 0, 0 to hero stories. It just doesn't interest me that much. And I think it's becoming very performative right now. I think that's becoming something that people want to tell a story. Just doesn't work for me. It's not my jam. Solo episodes, as I said, are going to become more a part of the core show and not a filler. I feel like I want to talk to you directly about a lot of stuff. Maybe that's going to be on things that are happening in the markets. Obviously, you've heard the show about real estate is local. Go back and listen to that one. It's really important. I would say if you're newer to the show, I would start at 363 where you are now and look backward for the solo shows that have a title and doesn't say with and then a guest name. I think that my last 5 to 10 solo shows have been really, really good information. And if you listen to them, you'll see how we got here. And I think that's important. The journey of a podcast is important, because when you get out this far, 363rd episode, you have to change things up. If you look at the podcasts that go for, 500 or 1,000 episodes, I would submit to you that most of them are still doing the exact same thing. So it still gets activity, but I would say their activity probably goes down over time, because it's just not as compelling. People get bored, even if you have on good guests. And if you generate too many a week, I was doing 2, I think that's a lot for people, 2 hours a week. So if you couldn't keep up, I apologize, but I was getting booked so many in the beginning. We didn't want to be, recording an episode and then telling someone it was going to come out in 4.5 months. It just didn't make sense. But again, if I'm practicing mindfulness in general, I'm going to be more mindful with the guests that I'm looking for. And if I don't have them, I'm going to do a solo episode that I think hits deep about finances and self-awareness as an investor and how to build yourself up to build something better for you and your kids' future or your relatives or anybody that you care about. So you're not going to get the hot takes here, quick wins. That's definitely not here. If you love that kind of Lamborghini culture, you want to get in the FIRE movement and retire at 24 without ever having built a career or worked hard, this is probably not the place for you. I have a shirt that I wore to the opening night of Bigger Pockets conference one year that says, "I'm not for everyone." And my friends will tell you, very true. You as a listener should know it's very true. I don't want to be for everyone. It doesn't have to be the right take. And when my book, which I'm working on now, Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing, comes out, it very much dovetails with this philosophy and the direction that we're going. That book is not going to be an investing book that you've ever seen. It's going to be much more like The Creative Act with Rick Rubin. I think that your general, who I would classify as your bro investor, isn't going to like the book, probably doesn't like the podcast, looks for those people that maybe they like, but probably thinks I'm kind of a douchebag because I tell them what they're doing isn't always right. That's fine with me. Really don't care at all. If my only goal is to help you build a better financial foundation and you don't like it, it's okay. Or if you just don't like me, also okay. Totally fine. I don't like every person that I meet as well. But I've independently produced this podcast with no advertisers for 363 episodes. So I'm going to keep doing what I want, and I'm going to keep delivering information that I think can help generations to come. That is the honest truth. I learned it from my dad. I want to pass it forward to more people than just my kids and my friends and those of you who've listened to the first 362 episodes. Yeah, I think it's important to know that the book that I'm developing is part of the podcast, and it's intentional. The way that I describe it as intentionally obtuse. It's built for people who want to think, not who just want an answer. And that's really the most important part of where we're going with the podcast. I want to bring on guests and have conversations to make you think more. You might find that that's more work. That's the point. You can't only use AI or only listen to people. You have to do the work yourself if you want to be successful. The most successful people take other people's ideas and they iterate on top of them. And they work on them, understanding their own capabilities and make them better. That's what I want to help you do. I'm really, really passionate about it. I'm not passionate about much. I want to help you take control back. We're going to talk about AI. I've learned over the last year how to use AI very effectively without it taking over my brand or my voice. This is still me, guided by helpful summaries that I use when I'm interacting with AI in my style and getting the feedback from all the stuff that I've put in. I know what to do with it now. It's going to become something in terms of how you want to use it. Everyone's going to use it differently. But I don't think you're ever going to eliminate real estate agents. I don't think you're going to ever eliminate financial advisors, the good ones. I understand that AI can do well, but there's pitfalls in everything. You use it as the best sidecar, left hand, right hand that you can, but I want you to stay in control. I want you to stay in control of your real estate portfolio and your financial portfolio. Yeah. It's kind of exciting for me because at 300, over 360 episodes, like I said before, yeah, I wasn't getting bored, but I've heard a lot of the same stories. And sometimes I'm even doing an interview and I'm like, this is good. And maybe it's especially good if someone's newer, but I think it was replicating a lot of stories that other people have told. So I think I have to work a little bit harder with my guests. I can't take those easy guests. I tell you, I've taken a lot of easy guests. I think they did a good job. There's only once I've recorded an episode. No, twice I've recorded episodes and then didn't publish them. So that's pretty good for this many episodes. And I haven't been disappointed very often. I've been not that enthused on a couple episodes, but I've tried my best to make it better if I could. But changing the lens is going to help me be better. Moving to one time a week is going to help free up time for me to build ancillary things around the brand of Zen and the Art of Real Estate and Investing, which includes off-market letters, which includes an actual AI model that I dump all of the transcripts from every episode of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing into it, and then build something that you can use to ask questions. That's going to be awesome. And that's a great use of AI. You get all of my collective history plus all of my guests intertwined into something that you can ask about anything, asset classes, geography. It's all going to be in there. All of the transcripts are going to get built. And then long term, I'm really going to build a retail space for Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. And it's going to be focused on middle school and high school education, and then bridging that gap with their parents. It's very hard for parents to talk about money with their kids. It's a very taboo subject. We want to open that up, and we want to open up real estate as a conversation between parents and children. Because think about it. If you go back to my episode about how to talk to your kids about real estate and real estate investing, everything outside has real estate under it. You literally have a million conversations out there. Anything that your kid wants to go to, real estate's on top of it. And the land is underneath it. You have a built-in conversation with any person that you've ever met about real estate, even if you don't think you do. It's just unlimited. And that's the knowledge that we want to bring to you and help you build your knowledge and find where the parts are that are interesting to you. Like maybe you don't know what interests you right now. Maybe you think it's all about asset classes. Listen to my local episode. It's more about geography. To me, if you know your local market, you're going to stumble into some opportunities at some point. Real estate feels inaccessible right now to a lot of people. It's not true. Housing is more inaccessible. Real estate is accessible because there's all different kind. There's land that you can buy for $500. Go listen to my 10 land flipping shows. That's a great idea for someone young who's good at sales. Crush it in that. Industrial, just the raw land part of it. You can start a development cycle for someone by being good at that. You know, there's just so much out there. I did a show with Amanda Cruz recently about manufactured homes. That's a low bar to entry. The bar to entry to being an investor and being a participant in real estate is way lower than you think. Housing costs are high. Real estate is still available because real estate is underneath everything that's outside. It's under a park. It's under your doctor's office. It's under Panera Bread. It's all out there and it all works together. And that's what helps increase or decrease the prices of real estate is what's going on in the local area. If you just become an expert in your local area, you're going to do better in real estate. That is part of financial mindfulness, and that's the direction that this podcast is going. I'm excited for you to take that journey with me. So remember, nothing's changing except the cadence. Still going to be Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing, still going to be bringing on guests, still going to be knocking out solo episodes like this, but instead of publishing on Monday and Thursday, starting next week, only Wednesdays. And I'm really working hard to build out a different type of investor list now to bring onto the show to present this new opportunity that's going to be a broader spectrum for us to reach more people. And really it came from where I'm going personally. I'm doing a lot of guest spots around this financial mindfulness, and now I'm ready to take it to the next level here. So you're not going to lose anything on the real estate. We're just going to adjust a little bit. Can't wait for you to hear it. It all starts next episode. I'll see you there. Thanks for sticking around to the end so you can get a preview on what's coming up on the next episode of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. That's episode 364, and with a new theme in mind, we're going to be talking about why I stopped chasing deals and started building wealth. It's part my story, but it's really going to be part your story. See you there next episode. Remember, now it's only coming out on Wednesdays. So I'll see you Wednesday.